Now, Watford are offering fans the chance to buy shares in the club in a bid to raise money for transfers. This despite boasting a pre-tax profit of £24.1 million, which is actually the highest in the EFL. Approximately 10% of the club is on offer at a value of £17.5 million. And the price per share has been set at £12.44. And the minimum investment is 4 shares, totalling £49.76. Now, Watford say fans, shareholders will not have any say in club matters. OK, let's get more on this. We can speak to the football finance expert, Rob Wilson. Rob, really good to see you. What was your first impressions of this from the club? Good news, bad news for the fans?
Probably a bit of both, to be honest, Vicky. It's a very interesting prospect, this kind of idea of a digital share scheme, something that we haven't really seen across the football landscape at all. You've just said there, very, very strong financial results in the last period. Of course, Watford have seen significant decline in their revenue base as a consequence of being relegated from the Premier League. So it's interesting and perhaps nice to see a football club looking to do something fairly unique and different. And I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of Watford fans that are keen on having a look at how this might work for them.
Yeah, OK, so how might it work for them? Because they can buy shares, but they won't have any rights. Is that unusual? And my question is, what's in it for them then?
That's I think the multi-million pound question, actually. Is the reality here is you would expect if you were doing a share acquisition that you would gain a level of voting rights, and that normally goes with the kind of A shares, if you like. So if you were a big benefactor and you're trying to invest in a business, buy a small proportion of that business, you would get a say in the running of the football club or of the business that you're investing in. And what Watford are saying here is, look, folks, we're trying to raise money for our on-pitch performance, and I think that's what makes this unique, by buying players, and you're not going to get a vote in who those players are. Of course, Watford have got a really good commercial team. We trained one of them at VSI Executive Education not so long ago, so they know what they're doing. Whether or not this is an attractive proposition for fans will remain to be seen, but as we know, football fans up and down the country tend to really want to invest in their football clubs, whether that's emotionally or through season tickets or indeed through a share offering like this. And if you can buy into your football club for £50 and you can see a little bit of success on the pitch, and I'm sure there'll be lots of attracted fans there.
Yeah, it's quite nice that they've set the limit quite low in some respects. £50 is perhaps a reasonable figure for most fans. He wants to raise, though, over £17 million, Pozzo, doesn't he? So how successful has this strategy been before, in your eyes?
Well, we've seen crowdfunding offers go out before, and we've seen partial sales of clubs go to market before. Of course, you'll have been talking about a very, very big collapse of a takeover deal through 777 Partners at Everton. So looking for investment in football is nothing new. Whether or not this is successful remains to be seen. I think the only real parallel I can think of is when Manchester United floated 25% of their football club on the New York Stock Exchange, which is essentially just to pay off some of the Glazer debt. And of course, at that point, lots and lots of fans did buy into it. So I think with the low purchase price, there'll be lots of fans interested. Whether it works or not, it remains to be seen. I think actually the club is perhaps a little bit overvalued. So raising 17 million for player transfers might be achievable. Actually, filling some of the holes in the budget might be something quite different.
Well, let's ask that question in two then, because I think Pozzo values it at around 175 million. You disagree with that valuation, do you?
Yeah, I do. I think that's really quite high. I think it's probably based on some previous financial information when they were perhaps in the Premier League or in receipt of parachute payments against a turnover of around about £70-ish million. I think you're probably closer to the 100 million mark for Watford Football Club. Of course, the Vicarage Road Stadium adds to that equity value, or that asset value rather. But I think 175 is a little bit difficult to get to. If you look at some analysts, they might even be quoting enterprise values of around about 280 million. But I think that's terribly wide of the mark, especially when you consider that Newcastle United in the Premier League sold for about 300 million not so long ago.
Goodness me. Just finally then, they finished 15th, didn't they, this time around? I'm guessing for this all to work out wonderfully, they need to get promotion and quick.
They do. I think but that's the case for any of these Championship clubs. Of course, it's so difficult for them to compete with the likes of those clubs that have fallen out of the Premier League. They're, of course, in receipt of parachute payments. And actually, if you look at what Watford are trying to generate here, that's less than 50% of what the clubs that are coming out of the Premier League will receive in parachute payments. So they're facing an uphill task. They've got a lot to do. And I'm sure that even through raising potentially this 17 million, they'll still have lots of challenges on the field.
OK, brilliant from you. Thank you very much, Rob Wilson, for joining us.